CEO, and it also creates it's the corrupt power mechanism. Why is a CEO making 500 times the amount of a factory worker? How is that legitimized? It's complete BS. There's no economic theory, there's no financial model that substantiates that. The only thing that substantiates it is that people accept their docility. People accept their overlord. People accept that they are worth less. Why? Because they're told that they are. Because they're told that that's the system that they must contort themselves to. There is no reason why whatsoever why a CEO should be making that much more. There's no reason why all of these disparities exist on a societal basis. It's because corruption and power structure has completely blinded people to their true power and their true nature.
So let's remove hierarchy out of the equation. How would you expect a company to run? How would you expect society to run? Because at the end of the day, you still need a leader making the decisions. If you let everyone make the decisions, it's just chaos.
It's not about having a leader or not. What the way that the modern economy, the way that the modern framework of capitalism takes form is through equity, is through ownership. So how does that look when you reform? Well, it means that you create companies that are owned by employees, not just by large institutional investors. It means that when a CEO is given shares in a company, so are the employees. It means that when you create a company that just extracts from nature, keeps taking, that they engage in regenerative practices where they care about the the rehabilitation of the land, of the soil, of the community. You know, right now, Brew, we have one of the most parasitic entities operating on a global scale. We have this idea of globalism, and we think that it's like this supreme economic model. But in truth, globalism is like the most detached form of sort of corruption, where you have multinational companies that are going to like countries, for example, third world countries, and they're saying, listen, we want to extract your natural resources. So here's the deal. We're going to come in, we're going to set up shop, but we don't want to deal with your environmental policy. We don't want to deal with your culture. We don't want to deal with your rituals. We don't want to deal with any of this BS that you guys have going on at a cultural level. We just want to set up shop, and in return, we will set up an economy here. But the multinational corporation doesn't care about the country that they're operating on. They exist in some offshore entity. They're domiciled overseas. All they care about is extracting profit from their factory, from their mine, from whatever. It's about reorienting, and it's about putting the care back in the human being and in the society. That's how you do it, and it's very easily done. It has to be overturned. It has to be reimagined, and we have to have leaders in place and regulators in place that can push for that kind of reform.
I see. So more humane systems, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know. It sounds crazy.
It
I know it
does.
sounds crazy, but guess what? It's possible, and we have to start. Look, what's that song by Seal? We're never going to survive. We're never going to survive unless we get a little crazy, right, Brew? So
I guess.
we're not going to survive unless we get a little crazy. So let's get crazy.
I think
Let's get crazy.
I think what is missing, at least for me, is like one good example, right? If you had one company as a proof of success, then you can replicate that. But right now, would you say there's one?
There's a lot of models that exist that have this. There are plenty of cooperatives that exist around the globe. There's the Mondragon cooperative in Spain.
Mandraka?
Yeah, there are cooperatives in England, where there are other methods of exchange that are being used. There's the time exchange method, which is not pegged to fiat currency. You know, this fake credit-based monetary system that just keeps inflating and inflating and inflating. There are other methods that are being employed today. There are different education systems that are being shaped right now, where, especially on the young child education level, where they are incorporating these ideas of 3 hours of playtime, 3 hours of outside exploring time, less emphasis on sitting in a classroom, right? So there are ways that this is taking form in today's economy and in today's world, and it's about making these more mainstream. And what you'll find is that, and this is, by the way, I think the UN, the UN did a survey on this on cooperatives. I think cooperatives like employ like 150 million people worldwide, but the happiness gauge or whatever gauge they use is like 80% versus like I think it's like I don't want to say the wrong number, but it's considerably lower for the standard kind of like economic model that's being deployed across. So these things are taking form, and it's about bringing them to people's awareness, and it's about people who are starting, people looking to start businesses that are willing to incorporate these models. And again, this is important. It's about having um, governmental agencies that are willing to incentivize companies, whether it's through tax incentives to, lock in a 20-year contract in a region, or to give people, again, other incentives to run these kinds of businesses, because it's important for people to understand that this can't take place in this kind of like utopian ideology. It has to be rooted in the real-time incentives. But over time, those real-time incentives will become more aligned with humanity because people will start to shift. We have to plant the seeds now.
Mm. Yeah, I just think that those in power are not very interested on that right now. They have other
Well,
priorities. But you